Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Ariane Pinche. My colleague Thibault Clérice is also in the room at the back. Is a Latinist and digital medievalist. Digital humanist, not medievalist. And I am a digital medievalist specialized in text edition of Sense Lives in medieval French. And I'm here to present the collective work we've done with my colleagues on the CATMuS-Medieval project. Even if based on the really trendy artificial intelligence, automatic text recognition technology has an already long history. But I will say it started taking root in the research in humanities around 2016 with Ocropy, an easily trainable OCR engine. Between 2016 and 2019, we witnessed a quick increase of the use and performance of HTR on historical documents because of the facilitated access to GPU and programming libraries as TensorFlow or PyTorch. But also with an easier access to more user-friendly software as Kraken and maybe more well-known Transcribus that gave access to an all-in-one solution with graphical interface enabling text prediction, annotation, model training, and post-correction of the transcription. Since 2020, automatic text recognition became more and more used in research projects in humanities, thanks to intuitive platforms such as Scriptorium that work with Kraken and Transcribus. But it seems that every time projects restarted the training of the ATR model from scratch because there were no reusable dataset to be gathered or any generic model available. Furthermore, each project initially chose its own norms, making it complicated to reuse and adapt data from different projects. So the community needed to standardize methods and datasets to enable data gathering and production of generic models. So, I'm here today to present our work on the CATMuS-Medieval project, which stands for Consistent Approaches to Transcribing Manuscripts. This project aims to improve the automatic recognition of medieval texts by creating standardized datasets and models for handwritten text recognition, or HTR. It is a collective and international initiative involving almost 20 partners from Europe and North America. Our current effort focus on unifying transcribing norms to facilitate data reuse and generic model training. So, during this presentation, I will present you the history of the project, our transcription guidelines to produce standardized and compatible data, and then our available datasets and models. So, what's upon the flag? DH 2019. Our journey began in 2019 at the DH conference, where we initially, with my colleague Jean-Baptiste Camps and Thibault Clérice, addressed the challenges of dealing with noisy medieval data to explore the composition of a complete manuscript using HTR and stylometry. This early work demonstrated that HTR could successfully process a 13th century medieval manuscript, prompting us to deepen our use of HTR technology. Now, we soon discovered that better data and consistent transcription practices significantly accelerated our progress, yielding faster, better results. In 2021, we launched a collective effort to promote the use of HTR. While working at the École Nationale des Chartes, my colleague Thibault engaged in CREMA project to promote infrastructure for HTR in France and data sharing. I then began a postdoctoral fellowship called CREMA Lab with two main objectives. First, establishing transcription protocols to optimize HTR models for medieval French manuscripts. Two, producing datasets and training generic models for medieval French manuscripts a project presented at the ADHO 2022. So we have a long history with the ADHO conference. Simultaneously, Thibault adopted the initial CREMA transcription guidelines and developed datasets and models for Latin. Then, we merged our project, creating a generic CREMA model that integrates both Latin and French, enhancing the model ability to handle manuscript diversity. A little bit of history from CATMuS. CATMuS currently encompasses past and ongoing projects with collaborators from Europe and North America. It has gathered and documented training datasets for HTR, leading to the production of generic models. CATMuS is the culmination of 4 years of work and multiple funding resources, starting with the CREMA project and including support from Biblissima Plus and the French National Library. These funding are collective effort have enabled us to conduct extensive transcription campaigns, resulting in a multilingual dataset that includes French, Latin, Italian, Spanish, medieval Old English, and Middle Dutch, spanning from the 8th to the 15th century. And as you can see, it's a lot of money and a lot of work. This initiative represents a significant investment of time and resources, and it has been conceived as a community-driven effort, centralizing the work to produce reusable datasets and models for the benefit of the research community. But why establishing transcription guidelines? Because, as Tobias Odell said, well-prepared materials is the key to producing general recognitions model. From a technological point of view, HTR is a resolved issue. But as humanists working on historical documents, we still lack high-quality datasets that meet scientific criteria for automatic transcription. The aim of our project is to provide coherent data to build a reusable ground truth for HTR and to produce generic model producing a transcription that respects scientific standards. We also aim to train models with consistent results, avoiding issues like those seen with models that have mixed, abbreviated, and expanded form, leading to inconsistent transcription. This is what you can see here on the slides. On this tweet, the researcher is using a model that has non-consistent output. You can see sometimes you have the abbreviated form of the Q with still here, and here you have the expanded form. This is because in the dataset there is no standardization for the transcription, so you have non-homogeneous results. The CATMuS guidelines are an extension of the CREMA project guidelines, developed through reflection and discussion at the École Nationale des Chartes in 2021 and 2022. Our goal was to ensure the compatibility of transcription data while balancing feasibility and consistency. We aim to develop a transcription method that would produce data reusable by historians, but also by linguists, paleographers, and philologists. Therefore, the guidelines needed to retain as much information from the source as possible, including graphic variation, abbreviation, and script error. Nowhere we have to normalize what is written on the medieval material. We don't want to standardize the transcription, and we really want to have the words as they are written on the source. The objective was not to create a definitive transcription or final edition. Instead, it was designed as a preliminary step in a more general pipeline, always allowing researchers to go back to the original representation of the text on its server. As you can see here in the slides, it's only the first steps. ATR prediction. After that, you can do abbreviation resolution, word space regularization, and so on, to text editorialization. It is easier if you want a generic ATR model to thinking about just the first step, because the abbreviation expansion are language dependent. You don't develop the abbreviation the same way in French, in Middle Dutch, or in are in Latin, so it's easier to maintain it this way. Establishing transcription guidelines for HTR require to ask yourself how to transcribe to ensure consistency in the data and then in the models. So first, you have to define the method suitable for machine learning. You have to always transcribe the same time the same way. For example, if you have here a P with strokes, always transcribe it with the same character. I would say the same Unicode character is better, and not with different signs. For example, there is a character who really looks like the P with stroke. This is the K. This is an Armenian letter. It is written exactly the same way, but if you use sometimes the K and sometimes the P with strokes, it's not the same sign for the computer. So you have inconsistency in your transcription. So be careful with that. Even if they look alike, they are not the same for the computer. Determine the level of imitation you want in your transcription. Standardized version of the letter or imitating the variation in form. But please don't mix the different levels to ensure that every transcriber will do the same. So, as you can see here, it is written de la vertu. Okay? You can normalize the character or fully imitate your source with the insular D, insular A, rotunda R, and this fancy V, if you want. But it is really, really complicated to maintain it at the scale of a project because every transcriber will not do the same. It's sure, and you will not lose, but it takes a lot of time if you want to watch that. Ensure that everyone will do the same. Then give a list of the character you are using, and please document your methods. You will lose a lot of time with the documentation, but this is really, really important. Our guidelines are based on several principles with the main objective of creating consistent transcription for various documents. So we reduce each letter form to a standardized representation, gathering all variation in form of the same letter. Distinctions like U and V or I and G are reduced to U and I because basically in Middle Age they are the same letters. We keep the abbreviation to reduce language-specific traits the model must learn and minimize guessing, which can lead to potential hallucination by the model. The model is seeing the document line by line, and to develop the abbreviation, you have to know the context. But the computer cannot say, I don't know. I let the abbreviation know. It will absolutely try to give you something, even if it's completely crazy and doesn't work. But you will have something. This is what I have called hallucination. You have to use specific characters. We use characters according to the Medieval Unicode Font Initiative, the MUFI. Why? Because the MUFI is a scientific project. It started in 2001, so they have the experience, and they use a Unicode. So, and last but not least, everything is documented. We have also simplified the medieval punctuation because the punctuation in medieval manuscripts is particularly complex and difficult to understand. You really have to know well your source to be sure if it is different sign or only a variation of the sign. So if we have a single sign, it's a point. If we have a double sign, it's double point because it was really, really too much complicated to record ourselves on so much different collection of manuscripts. Our new challenge is to produce a multilingual model, still within the alphabet, the Latin alphabet. Each time we add a new language, we must verify that previous choices remain compatible. Often, we need to incorporate new characters, such as additional abbreviation for Latin, as you can see in the slides with the room, or new letters for new phonetic realization, like the F for the Middle English, which is the dental fricative. So, established transcription guideline is an ongoing process. and we have to ensure that everything functions cohesively at a systematic level. The guidelines are available. This is still a work in progress, but thanks to Alex that is here, everything has been updated yesterday. So if you want to have a look, you can go. Our data sets and model. Our data set is published on Hugging Face. It is built from 17 different repositories that are different projects and it contains approximately 175,000 lines, 6.2 million characters. That's a lot. It includes 245 different documents across 9 different languages, predominantly from the 13th to the 15th century. As our corpus was a collection of various projects, it led to some over-representation of some languages and genres in the dataset. As we started with the criminal project, there is a lot of French narrative, treaties Latin because this is Thibault's work, and treaties in Castilian because we had the PhD, some work from the PhD thesis of one of our colleagues that is called Matthias Gilles Levinson. However, we aim to balance this over-representation in the future development. Here are some statistics about the CATMuS-Medieval model, illustrated by a heat map showing its performance across different scripts and language. Okay, with no surprise, the best results are in French, in Castilian, and in Latin. As I say, it is because of the way the corpus has been built. But we can observe that ongoing efforts have improved the performance from the ancient model coming from the Latin-French primal generic model. It has improved the recognition in Castilian, but also in Latin. So that's good news. And conversely, the performance in medieval French remained consistent. But this consistency is due to the primal models being more specialized for this corpus, whereas the CATMuS model manages a greater diversity in scripts and languages. So please find here the different models we have trained. And as you can see, we are not working only with medieval manuscript and medieval documents. You have some models for early print. Here, the CATMuS Gothic print. You have also model for modern print here. And even more model will come in the next years for modern manuscripts. So, in conclusion, thanks to comprehensive guidelines and generous support from our sponsors, we have significantly increased the number of available interoperable datasets for training HTR models in recent years. This has enabled us to develop adaptable models specifically for medieval manuscripts. We have improved the accuracy of these models to consistent transcription standards. And thanks to post-language collaboration, we plan to continue to include medieval English, Middle Dutch, and also extend our temporal scopes from the Middle Age to the contemporary era. And Alex is in charge of this part of the corpus. Thanks to her. And thanks for your attention, and I will be happy to answer any question you may have. And here you can find some references we use for our work.